Okay, so our actual exercise this week, after we've done that warm up, is to begin drawing characters from reference. So, in the case of the warm up, we were drawing directly from reference. We were looking at already designed characters and just simply copying them to try and kind of internalize some of the design mechanics that those character designers were employing in their artwork. In this case, we want to reference real life characters from film. That's the fun part. I've prescribed 3 different films. You could pick one or even do all 3 or pick 2. It's up to you. But of those 3, whichever ones that you can access easily or hopefully you can find a way to watch them. Or even just, I'm also going to include a link that's just screen grabs from different films, and hopefully there'll be some of the characters in them. And I've picked these 3 films very intentionally because both of the directors are really great at making really developed characters that each are very distinct and are very strong personalities. They're those kind of characters that when you look at them, you're like, wow, they are already a cartoon. I don't even need to exaggerate them, right? That's the kind of feeling that I want you to get when you see some of the characters in these films. So feel free to watch all 3. This would be the best homework ever if that's the case. But yeah, so at least skim through if you can, just kind of pick different spots, especially parts that you really enjoy the acting. And basically, I want you to try to draw these characters in the films as your own caricatures. So this is our first week in just exploring, exaggerating the shape language, facial features, even their actual anatomy. And while I'm beginning my demonstration here, you'll notice that I'm kind of just diving right in. It's basically like I'm using ink. I am working digitally, but I could equally have done this in ink. And if you do work digitally, try not to erase too much. I don't want you to make lots of hesitant strokes. I would much prefer that you make bolder strokes, so using a larger brush could help. Or better yet, just work traditionally with pen and ink. It'll help develop your kind of bold brush strokes. So this is the first film. It's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's a great... I love this film so much, from the Coen brothers. I could pick almost any Coen brothers film and there'd be tons of characters that would be so dynamic and larger than life and just like incredibly idiosyncratic. And just, with the whole... These are the kind of characters that you look at them or you watch them on screen and you can just see that there's a whole like internal world of this character. There's a whole psychology in there. And I love witnessing that. Like, part of being a good animator is also being able to identify good acting and good character work, really. It adds a lot to your characters to be able to see their archetypes and just like notice their weird little quirks and appreciate them. I was really struggling with the second guy in this scene. So this is obviously just one scene, as you can see from the little screen grab I took. But I wasn't totally happy with this one, actually, because if you know this guy, he's in many films, also The Big Lebowski, which was also directed by the Coen brothers. But he's always such a strong personality and a really funny guy. So I hope I captured even a little bit of him, but I don't know. I'm looking back at it now and I'm like, nah. And that's part of the fun of this, is that if you do the same scene multiple times, you will get so many different approaches to it. Like you could do it so many different ways. And here I am kind of adjusting things that I wasn't liking. So I am using my eraser a little bit, I concede. But as much as you can, try your best not to. So here I love this, like the whole thin neck, wide torso kind of thing. So I widened, I can't remember his actual name. I widened his torso here. And I'm still keeping elements of their anatomy intact, but I am exaggerating that a little bit too. And notice how I am drawing the scene. I'm trying to draw the pose a little bit, but I am actually working quite quick. So I'm not, again, like I said, I'm trying not to erase very much. I'm trying to make it as minimal as possible. So there's one more character in this scene that I'm going to draw. And I think I begin quite soon, but I'm getting a little bit fussy with the facial features. So a lot of this, as you can tell, I've invented myself. I've pushed that chin out. I'm trying to make him a little bit sharper of an individual. And with this character, so he's the kind of scaredy cat of the bunch, and I try to make his features a lot softer and just like, yeah, a little bit more like a slug or a worm, a bit subservient, which is appropriate for his character if you know this film. But yeah, he's just a little bit more like cautious and a little bit dumb, to be honest. And that's part of his character. So I'm trying to kind of amp that up a little bit. So if you've seen the films, it does help a little bit to kind of help you exaggerate. So notice how I'm also, this is just like my preference, but you can be more linear if you want. But I am actually using my brush occasionally as big, like a big chunky ink pen type thing to just black in different areas. I like doing that recently in particular, so I'm kind of just stylizing that a little bit. Some of this I feel is a bit too realistic. I could have pushed the shape language even further. But again, if you do this multiple times, especially with the same scene, you will get opportunities to push the shapes further each time. So that's absolutely an option. I think I'm getting close to nearing the end here. I kind of like I like the differences between them. I think that's fun. And here I'm just... So one thing that I like to consider is how you present your work. And this is especially relevant for you because you're probably, if not making your portfolio, you will be potentially soon, or maybe you're just actually looking to upgrade your professional portfolio. In any case, how you present your work really helps to make or break it. So I'm adding a little bit of extra little background work just to kind of make the figures come forward a little bit more. But I try not to tighten it up too much. Okay, this next one was super fun. This is The Royal Tenenbaums by Wes Anderson. A kind of melodramatic film from, I think, 2002. Wow, it's been a long time. So in this case, I'm trying to kind of exaggerate his facial shape more because I felt like in the previous one I didn't push it far enough. So here I saw his little head and I tried to kind of make the lower half, because beards often make the lower half look bigger. It does kind of expand the volume. So I tried to exaggerate that further, and then we have his actual the hair on his head, obviously. So that helps further to push that shape. So I kind of just pushed it even more extreme than what we had in the shot itself. Here with any kind of complicated clothing, try to simplify it, break it down into more of a cartoon simplified sort of shape. Like here in particular with that leg, wow, very basic. You'll see in folds in particular, there's a lot of zigzagging lines. You'll see lines kind of bouncing back and forth between the different silhouette forms, like his outer legs or arms. So I'm trying to keep his somewhat lankiness. I guess he's got more of a medium build, so I kind of try to keep that intact. Here I'm drawing his lapels, and I'm trying to capture his original sort of vibe. I even draw a little bit more background stuff, again, considering the presentation. And so I just want to emphasize that if you're doing your own caricatures of live action, the nice thing about this is it's kind of like fan art, but it's actually not really fan art. It doesn't count as fan art because you are exaggerating this yourself. You're not using an existing character. You're making your own character from a person on screen. And yes, those characters are already made and part of a production. But you still need to be the one to create the actual character yourself. So it's really quite similar to being out in the world and doing caricatures of people you see on the street. That's kind of the idea. Except the nice thing about doing it from film is that you've already got these characters. Hopefully, if you're referencing a good film that has like vivid characters, you'll reference characters that are already very, very defined. In particular, these two in particular, I really like her look. It's got this kind of just classic deadpan, almost like French sort of, I don't know. It's hard to pin down, but she has a very particular look that I was after here that I wanted to keep intact. So I was much happier. Oh, that was a critical move right there. Moving those facial features down. I realized she had a bit larger sort of middle section of her face. Wow, I even went for the stripes. Good job, past Garth. So yeah, anyways, these folks I was much happier with. And then to celebrate the better success, I actually colored the background because look at the scene, right? Wow, look at how colorful it is. I couldn't not. So I'm trying to keep it very minimal. One thing I really want to emphasize for your homework that you do is do not go too deep into the color or anything. That's really not what this exercise is about. I'm just trying to really capture the essence of these characters, and I'm really making sure that the line work itself does a lot of the heavy lifting. And that's particularly important for animation portfolios where if you can do a lot, if you can say a lot with very few lines, that is a very, very good skill to have in animation. In fact, that general theme is going to come up a lot in a lot of my courses, actually. So, yeah. Well, nearing the end of these, folks. Pretty happy with it. Okay. So, on to the final one. So this is, of the three, this is, it's hard to say. I think this one is my favorite film of the bunch, The Grand Budapest Hotel. But it's a really close call with Oh Brother. You know what? I'm already regretting that already. I don't know. It's too hard. But anyways, Adrien Brody, fantastic actor. Probably one of my favorite actors, actually. And Wes Anderson, the director of these films, loves him. So the Wes Anderson is the same director that did the Royal Tenenbaums, the one that I just did a moment ago. So he's also really great at making very idiosyncratic characters, very defined, wonky characters, and who could like have a bad time with a mustache like this, right? It is just so fun. I just could not get enough of it. In fact, I think I exaggerated even more a little bit later, but yeah. And so Adrien Brody has a very narrow face, very angular, and I really wanted to capture that scowl, especially in this specific screen grab that I took. Yeah, I was feeling like the eye wasn't intense. This is common when you're working from live action reference. It's very easy to not make the eyes intense enough because animation eyes and caricaturing eyes generally really are exaggerated. This was another critical thing. I realized his eyes were actually quite wide apart, and I missed that. So, it happens. But yeah, you got to make sure, especially with an intense expression like this, to make sure there's enough white space around the pupil. Otherwise, you'll totally lose that intensity. In fact, I think I pushed the eyes even further apart. Yeah, here I go. I'm like, okay, let's just totally, remanufacture this face. Okay, there we go. That's definitely looking more Adrien Brody like. It gave him that little cheekbone identification there. Also should help out a bit. Yeah. So I'm choosing an off black color. I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of it's like a saturated, deep, dark red, reddy brown, which is very appropriate if you know this character. He's quite fiery. Really fun character to watch on screen. I really hope that you'll actually watch all of these films. They're all great in a variety of ways, and then we can chat about it in our next feedback session. Yeah, so here's me just finishing up Adrien Brody. So pretty happy with this one too. All right, so that's all for my demonstrations. So I hope this has helped you get started. So the goal this week is to just draw the heck out of these characters that you're going to see in these films. These are so fun, and there's so many different unique dynamic characters. So really have fun. Use a little splash of color here and there if you're feeling it, but otherwise just black ink basically would be great. Be bold, make strong strokes, don't be hesitant. Launch yourself into these caricatures and just have a ton of fun. This is honestly, as somebody that started my art practice when I was in high school, very realistically, everything I drew was very realistic. I found it very difficult to jump into the world of caricaturing. But after I got a little more comfortable and I had more tools to work with, and I'd done it just a lot more, I began to love it. And now I honestly just have so much fun with this. So I hope you do too. All right, good luck this week.